Greetings, fellow armchair Imagineers. Tiki here, and I believe this is the third out of what I hope to be a complete series of 8 Elite 8 retrospectives. Last time I did the retrospective with the great Monorail Red, the eventual winner of the Elite 8 in 2014. This time, I've got the runner-up, I've got the master, I've got the guy who's a pro at websites, who's always willing to brainstorm and hack out ideas, and just overall easily one of the most active members of the community in the brief time I've been here, and one of the most welcoming. Give it up for Englanddg. Ding. How you doing, England?
Hey, I'm doing well. Doing quite well.
So, you know what I just realized right off the bat that's kind of a failure on my end?
What's that?
Nobody knows about this show on the site.
Yeah, you didn't. I was wondering if you were going to put it in the hub thread.
Let me go ahead and do that. Yeah.
We'll just hang out till they get here. You know, they're late to the party. Fashionably late. That's all it is.
Shoot. Okay, I could just pull up the link. Okay, so how you doing today, England? How's it going?
No, pretty good. It's too cold. Way too cold out here.
Where are you?
Atlanta.
Oh, Atlanta. That's right. Yeah. California, we just had just the torrential downpour of rain about a month ago, but after that it was pretty good. We've kind of been on the upswing, so I feel for you though. I feel for you. But so yeah, we've got several things going on here at WDWMagic before we jump into your Elite 8 career retrospective. You want to talk about just the contest that just started up, the Soul Imagineer, and kind of what's going on with that?
Oh, I don't really know what to say. We're so early. We just got our first challenge, and I posted in that discussion thread. It seems like a rather small challenge for 7 people to work on. That's, I think, part of the challenge.
I believe that is what's going through our Michael's sick, twisted head. Is just like, oh, I'm going to make these 7 people work on the most small challenge possible, and their heads will explode.
Yeah, and that's kind of how I feel right now. There's so many ideas, so many good ideas being thrown around, and no, I'm not going to give the other team any hints. But you know, where are we going to go with them? That's the question. And how do we do that and have something done by Monday? Who knows? Of
course. Yeah, it's very daunting. All right, so let me go ahead and link this up to WDWMagic. My interview with England is live right now. All caps. Okay. All right, so hopefully some people will come on board for that. All right, so England, yeah, just before we get into your career retrospective, I just got to say, I've been saying this with every video I've been doing recently, but you really have been by far the biggest person to really be kind of like the ambassador between the two communities when So You Want to Be an Imagineer decided to jump onto WDWMagic. I don't want to take any credit away from anyone else because you've all been awesome, but you're really the guy that's been kind of stepping up, making sure we know how things work, making sure, you know, any questions we have get answered, and really making us feel welcome. So I just want to give you a thank you for that.
Oh, it's my pleasure, and I'll reiterate. I mean, there's that whole group of us. We were excited to see you come over, and I know that all of us are committed to really making this next year fit for both communities as we merge.
Of course. Okay, so with that in mind, do you want to talk a little bit of your armchair Imagineering career? You want to get into it?
Yeah, I didn't really do much armchair Imagineering until here. I mean, when I was younger, I played around with like Dungeons and Dragons and stuff like that. I was a dungeon master, but it was nothing WDW-wise.
Of course.
I saw what was going on in the Imagineering forum, and I got into it about the same way that Red did. I can kind of follow that exact story. And there was one Saturday I posted just decided I was going to take the Saturday and redo Hollywood Studios because I hate it. It's such
Oh boy.
it's a mess. It's an absolute
Yeah.
So I thought I'd divide it into a series of studios. There'd be the Henson studio and the Disney studio and the Lucas studio, et cetera, et cetera. And I never really got too far with it, but that was kind of my dip into the pool here at WDWMagic. And then the Sorcerer's Apprentice started, and I thought it looked like fun. So I decided to throw my hat in the ring and see what happened. And as it turned out, I didn't make it all the way to the end, but I was on the final team, and Red won that season. And we had a...
According to Red, she did not win that season.
No, she won season 1.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Oh God.
Island won season 2.
Someone seriously, you made a comment the other day, like someone needs to make Tiki a cheat sheet of the winners. Yes, please do. That would be so helpful.
She won season 1 hands down.
Okay.
Well, I can't say that. Matt was her competition in that one, and Matt put up a fantastic presentation. So it was close, but yeah, she won that one. We didn't have the Elite 8 end of year process at that time. That's kind of when all this started up. So I don't know. I tried to get into WEDCAR and some of the other competitions that happened around that time and after that, and just couldn't really get into it. First quarter is busy for me professionally, so finding the time just wasn't there. And I went off and did some other things. You'll find I did some food blogs. I like to cook and things like that are on WDWMagic. Like I did a week of, where basically I would do a diet. A week of Disney food, and I would cook Disney food all week long, Disney recipes. I did a week of Weight Watchers microwave meals, and so I lived off of Weight Watchers.
So
for
this
a
is
week.
essentially kind of like the same style stuff that Mike J did for a while.
Yeah. Well, it was funny because I started mine around the same time Mike J did. And Mike J is a commentator on now it's Channel Awesome, but that guy with the glasses. And yeah, it was funny. We totally separate ideas that were the same ideas, started around the same time.
Exactly. Right.
He did videos. He did those diet crazes, and I just went off and I was like, I'm gonna do a week of fast food, a week on living on less than $10 a day, a week of
sure.
It didn't last forever, but I got a decent following off of that, and then I just kind of stopped doing anything until spring training. And when that started up, I thought, I'm going to get back into this, and I ended up only doing one challenge for that, which I think I shared with you.
Yeah, you did. It was something that I very, very much liked, which was the Swedish Chef of Food Card. So. I mean, I guess the idea to do a Swedish chef cart kind of came pretty naturally, but what was sort of your thought process behind doing something like this?
Well, I wanted an IP that I was familiar with and a place that it would fit in the park. And I think that part of Hollywood Studios, the Muppet part, doesn't have a whole lot to eat. I mean, it's got Mama Melrose, but let's be honest, Mama Melrose could be better. It doesn't have a whole lot in the way of snacks, and when you look at what the Muppets can bring to it, there's just so many wacky and zany things you can do with a snack, with food. So I thought, why not do a food cart? And the challenge was to do a food cart, but that's kind of the direction that I went in. And to plus it a little bit, I put a little animated animatronic show at the end of the cart, which would be the cart was the design of an Airstream trailer, that silver classic Airstream. And I thought it would work really well in that area, and others agreed. In fact, it got nominated for the award, which I was really happy about because it was one of my favorite projects. So I'm glad others liked it.
Yeah, no, it was great. It really fit well with the Muppet sensibilities and comedic timing and everything. I really enjoyed it. So, okay, and then was there any particular reason why you didn't participate in any other spring training?
The challenge after that, we kind of got assigned off onto teams, and I got a little busy personally, and apologies to my teammate, but I just wasn't as available as I should have been. Gotcha. And it just never took off, and I never got back into it, and frankly didn't plan on it until I got tagged for Sorcerer's Apprentice. So that's when I came back to the community.
So let's talk about that with Sorcerer's Apprentice because I guess obviously you played in the first game, correct?
I did.
Okay, so what was your reaction to the fact that there was going to be like a sequel to this very successful game, and were you really excited about it, especially that you were being like highly considered?
Actually, no. And this is odd.
Okay.
I was a little burnt on the whole on other things. It really wasn't Imagineering. I was just burnt. I was excited to see a sequel, but I wasn't planning on competing.
Sure, definitely, yeah.
And I was actually asked. I was tagged by a couple members to join. And in fact, if you go read through the beginning, there's a reason why. I think I have Grumpy Cat. Like I'm in, I think is what I put, and that's because really I wasn't into it. And I'd see
Yeah.
how it would develop. Now, by the time we got the teams split up and the whole thing started, I was full bore back into the groove. But that initially, no, my plan was just to kind of skip it. But I was excited to see it come back. I think it's a great competition.
Okay. So you were on Team Air, and since I'm not prepared at all, can you give me the trimates you were with?
Oh yeah.
I apologize.
Well, I was with Voxel, CTX, Countdown to Extinction,
Uh-huh.
Wickler, and I believe MA Screaming.
Okay. And you mentioned multiple times throughout your PM that you sent me that you and Voxel worked very closely together this season.
Yeah, I'd say that was the surprise and something that I was a little anxious about. The team that I was on in Season 1 had Zwyland and Monorail Red.
Okay.
And we clicked, and there was a Epcot project in particular. That's the one I remember where everything started really gelling with us, where we could just, I think we tossed that thing out in like 4 or 5 hours of, I would send Red a message saying I need a logo for this while I was working on the website while Zwyland was typing up the stuff and I'm putting it on the website, and it just it was so exciting and thrilling. And that's where our little soundtracks come from, is we were sharing music at the same time, so we were all listening to the same music.
Oh, okay, nice.
And so I wasn't sure walking onto a new team, since we got split across the 3 teams, how that would work. And Vox was just fantastic. All of them were great. CTX was on Fantasy last year as well in Season 1.
Oh.
Schedule just didn't work for him this year, and he wasn't able to contribute as much as he did in the previous year's competition, and I totally get that.
Okay, sure.
But Vox and I, yeah, absolutely. From the first challenge, we started clicking, and it worked really well.
Do you remember like any particular moment where Vox or yourself kind of threw out an idea and you were just like, oh my god, this guy is like really totally thinking on my same page?
It would have to be within the first challenge, and I can't put my finger on a single moment.
Oh,
I can. Sorry, but I can't. I can say.
No, it's a tough question.
To give you an idea though of how we work together, so we would end up with like that first challenge thread is something like 100 pages long. 100.
Oh dear. Oh my god.
And so we have this PM, and we just literally sit there like, okay, let's have a short brainstorm. We'd latch onto an idea. Don't ask me how we did. We just say we like that idea and we ran with it. And then we'd start blasting out at each other what the specifics were going to be. And before you knew it, we had 40, 50, 60 pages in the thread, all of mostly constructive stuff. So then it's a matter of putting it all together and making something that can actually be presented. So
Gotcha.
Yeah, it was definitely in that first challenge that we knew it would happen. That second challenge with Marvel is where we really gelled.
For sure. So let's kind of talk briefly about, like, in terms of all these Elite 8 projects, I don't really want to spend too much time on them because I've already kind of talked about them ad nauseum for the recaps and these other Elite 8 retrospectives. But really quickly, you guys did the Society of Explorers and Adventurers project. What was kind of the thought process behind putting that theme into Adventureland, and how did the whole thing come together?
Well, we wanted something that was unique, and we wanted to add something to the park that they didn't have. In this case, it was a Splash Mountain style ride. We weren't the only team that thought that. But we wanted to do it in a way that was different and kind of latched upon an IP that other people may not. And again, we weren't the only other team. I'm looking at you, Team Land, that thought that. So we thought we would take the whole Mystic Manor theme and build on that, and tie into the fact that the French park in particular already has some steampunk, and it already has a Nautilus, for example.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, look at their Space Mountain. That's totally steampunk.
Right. So we thought, we would build off of that theming that was already there in the park.
Sure.
Very Baxterian, if that's a word, very Tony Baxter.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's kind of where that came from. And then once we started talking, we were like, okay, well, why just have the one ride? Why not have some more things to build it out? And that's where the zip lines came from. That was all Vox. The ride
I really liked all the zip lines and stuff.
I thought it was brilliant.
Yeah.
And that led me on to thinking about, okay, well, we need a kids version of the zip line, so why not use this ride out of Universal? You didn't like that option very much, but that was me.
Okay.
But yeah, and that's kind of where we went from that. I think I did the restaurants there, but I normally tend to get slapped onto restaurant challenges. I like menus, and everybody knows that. So.
Yeah, that's definitely something that Joker brought up with me our last Sorcerer's Apprentice recap. Oh gosh, specifically, what was the menu that I really liked?
It was on Pirates.
Right. Yeah, it was all all of the pirate menus were really good. Okay, but anyways, let's go on to Team Challenge 2. This was where, as you said in your PM, you decided that you would snatch the low-hanging fruit of the Marvel IP.
Yeah, so I was the team lead for this one, and we did debate it for a couple pages. Do we go off and try something else? But I'm like, Marvel is just right there. Avengers had just come out a couple months earlier, and
so
well.
There was no time. Yeah, they were super hot right there. Yeah,
right. And then you had coming up soon. You had and I love the movie too. The one with Groot.
Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, Guardians coming out.
I think Guardians of the Galaxy. Dare I say, Guardians of the Galaxy even a stronger movie than the Avengers? That's just my opinion.
I'd agree, and in fact, that's exactly how I described it to my friends. Was if you liked Avengers, this is even better.
Right, yeah.
But it was really hot, and we were just like, you can't leave this. Again, low-hanging fruit. It was already hinted. It was told that we could use it basically by the judge. Why not go there? So we decided to do it.
All right, so this is really where you became prominent with the websites. And if you ever thought that I didn't give you enough credit in terms of the artistic value you put into the websites, make no mistake, man. I could never do something as good as this. I am thoroughly impressed. I think it adds a whole new layer to presentation. So I give you all the props in the world for what you do here. But you want to talk about just kind of A, how the idea for doing a website came about, and B, sort of your process behind building these suckers?
Well, I'd used them in Season 1.
Okay.
We did an Epcot website, which actually, without getting too technical, is pretty close to the same source code as the Marvel and so a lot of the other sites. The Pirate site, all the same back-end pop-up style. You click on whatever the link is and it pops up. It's all that same core back-end, which actually makes it easier to do the site. That's why I do so many of them that way, because I don't have to code the UI, the user interface. I just have to do the graphic design and make it look pretty. And that's a little easier.
Yeah.
But that comment, by the way, about the I heard that you mentioned that graphics comment. I was actually making that at Zwyland, and it was just a joke.
For sure.
He would get that. Brad and Zwy blow me out of the water. I'm good at a certain type of art, but I can't do what they do at all. I've tried.
Yeah. And I cannot do anything except for sit in front of a microphone and talk.
But you do that well. You do that very well.
Well, thanks. I appreciate that.
I'd say that the site itself, Vox is also in IT, and so that kind of gave me an edge I haven't had in the past. When we did these sites last year, I was the guy doing all the coding. Zwy and Red kind of did the graphics. but I would give them the specifics. I need it in this size. I need it laid out this way, etc. So I could place it into the code. With Vox, I didn't have that limitation, and so this particular project, we were able to really break it up and knock it out. I mean, it was. He did the initial hacking. I think that I don't know whose idea that was. I'm going to chalk it up as mutual or Vox's.
Yeah.
But what we were going for in the end run was trying to take the presentation to a different level completely, where it's even more immersive to the reader. So it's not like you're reading a presentation to a boardroom like some of these read. The more classic
most definitely.
But more like you're discovering it and you're part of it. I don't know how well that played, but that's what we were going for. And so we thought the hacking would be fun, and the little video with the evil guys at the end. I forget the Hydra at the end. And I mentioned I loved Marvel growing up, loved them. But I think I told you this. I didn't know much about Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. or Avengers. I didn't even see Iron Man, Iron Man 2, Iron Man 3 until, I don't know, a couple months ago.
Oh, wow.
So Agents
you are clearly not missing much with Agents.
Well, I took that whole weekend and I watched all of at the time I think it was only 2 seasons of Agent. It gets better once you get. Does it? Once you get about 3/4 of the way.
I watched the first 3 episodes and I was just no.
Yeah.
I will give the credit though. The new Agent Carter show they have is fantastic.
I'll check that out.
Yeah, you definitely should, but that's a different story.
So, but that's kind of where we were at. We were able to really flesh out. In fact, this will tie into the next project, or I think maybe 2 projects when we talk about Lord of the Rings. That's the same coding, and if you look, it'll look very similar. But you made this comment when you guys were reviewing it that there's not a lot of content there. Well, that's because I didn't have a Vox sitting there meshing out all the content.
Sure.
And so sometimes I was just throwing things in there, but I don't want to get too far ahead. But I really think he and I gelled, and I don't know this, but I think that the other teams saw that there was a powerhouse forming on Team Air there, and it worried them a little bit.
That's definitely kind of always sort of the problem with these games. You know what I mean? Is when you do have 2 people who just happen to, even if it's a situation where they happen to be on the board at the same time where no one else is, and they just create a few pages worth of brainstorming. It's targets. It's tricky. It's really tricky.
It is. It certainly is. And Vox and I are both East Coast, so our schedules worked, and like I said, it really gelled. So I guess that's. We can move on to the next challenge if you're ready, unless you have a question for me about it.
No, by all means. Let's go on to, let's see, the next project was Project 3. Remember correctly, this was the first 24-hour project?
Yes.
Okay, and you guys did Australia Down Under, home to the Rescuers Down Under ticket.
All right.
Do you love the Rescuers Down Under as much as I do?
I think it is. So, Vox, if it wasn't your idea, then I'm taking the blame. It was mine. I love the movie. I think it's underrated.
Oh, yeah. I think it is one of the most underrated pieces of animation Disney has ever produced, bar none.
But we were looking for a kids ride, and I thought, okay, well, this, without going original, and in 24 hours, it's hard to go with a totally original concept for a ride. Why not just do this?
Right, dive head first into local Australian mythology and stuff like that.
Yeah, which I'm actually fairly well read on.
Oh, are you? Cool.
Getting into that in 24 hours wasn't going to happen.
Exactly. Right.
So.
Okay, so not much to say here. Anything particularly stand out? You told me you weren't really a big fan of this.
I wasn't. I mean, I thought it was great for the time frame we had to work in, and Vox really pushed this one through. So kudos again to him. But I think we deserve to lose that one. I hate to say it, but I think if I remember right, C won that one it's important to remember that C won that one. And I
Yes,
think
it is. Yes, it is.
I think that they really went outside the box and did a great job with that. So they completely deserved the win.
Okay. Now, yeah, let's get into it. This might just have been the biggest, most controversial game move of the whole season right here. Team C steals Vox from right under your feet. Oh,
Yeah.
man. Tell me what was going through your head without using too many obscenities.
Do we have a bleep button?
God.
I was upset.
Yeah.
Not personally at anyone. It's all part of the game. And Red knew that, etc. But I was upset. And it was funny. I had a private message going with Voxel and Red at the time, and I kept sending them teasers about what I was doing. Like, you shouldn't have messed with me throughout the entire week. And, so this week I was determined. I was gonna blow them out of the water, and I was gonna do an IP that I know very well, even if I mess up the spider, and
yeah.
and that I love, and one that I would love to see fit in there. And I was going to do a video, and I was going to have the interactive epic site with the big music and all this other stuff, and I just ran out of time. There just was too much to do within the, I think we had 9 or 10 days to do this.
Sure. I mean, you definitely were very ambitious for the type of stuff you wanted to put in here.
Yeah, and that's probably one of my weaknesses that I need to work on. Because it got me in trouble later in the year as well, but we'll cover that, I'm sure.
Okay.
So.
But just really quickly, so you're a big fan of the Lord of the Rings license?
Absolutely. I think.
All right, cool. Were you someone who kind of like read the books and stuff like that and really got into it that way?
Yes. Once a year, I read the books.
Gotcha. One of those
all the way
fans.
through. Yeah. Now I don't read Similarian very much. I have read it, but it's rather dull. It's not, and frankly, Two Towers is dull too. It has these long moments that just go on and on and on, and I'm just like, all right, Tolkien, move on. I get it.
Yeah.
But
I hated the way that the Hobbit movies ended up, but that's a whole other podcast.
If you want someone to commiserate with you, when I heard they were doing 3, I'm like, I kind of see maybe 2.
I agree.
But
you know what? When I actually get a chance to see Battle of the Five Armies, maybe you can do a podcast on that, because oh my God, they did so many things wrong with that trilogy.
Yeah, I'm going to go see it this weekend. Hopefully, I like to go to those movies in the theater. Only so that they get the box office numbers, because I want them to make more of that style. I want the fantasy, science fiction to stay something that gets the box office numbers, so they keep looking at new ways to do it. But you always, for every good movie, you're going to have a bad one.
Aragon.
Oh, God, they screwed that up. Yeah, I've read the book.
Have you?
I haven't finished all 3 of them. I read the first one, and I think I finished the second one. I maybe made it only halfway through. But yeah, that's a good example.
Okay. So let's see. What were some of the highlights of what you were trying to do with the Lord of the Rings?
Well, mostly I wanted to. We had to keep some of the attractions, so I couldn't. I had to reskin Hulk, and the tower I did as Barad-dûr, I believe.
Right. I really like that. I think that worked really well.
The one thing I really left out of it, and you guys touched on this, is the size, and so I'll talk about that. It does fit. And the mistake, I even went so far as to do scale by scale. So like on the Smaug ride, the inside roller coaster with Smaug following you around, chasing you, that's based off the track of Space Mountain in Disneyland.
Gotcha.
And I physically went to Google Maps and I posted this in the discussion, took the building of the Disneyland version, which is smaller than the Magic Kingdom version, and I intersposed it, same levels, same scale, onto where I was going to put it on the map, and it goes out a little into the water, but it does fit. So one of these days, whatever. I should have. This is my mistake. I should have put that in the site somewhere where you had a toggle where you could see the map overlaid over the actual stuff.
Yeah.
I think that would have made it much stronger.
Because I mean, to be fair, I've never been to IOA, so I'm just kind of judging based on like trying to visualize it in my head.
Right. I was very careful to make it fit. I was not so careful in communicating that to the audience.
Yeah, for sure.
And that does no good. If you guys don't know, the first thing you're going to look at it is go, yeah, he just drew some crap on a map, and it looks good, But
and especially because when you think Tolkien, just your gut instinct is just huge and epic. You know what I mean? So it's like something like Lord of the Rings. There is kind of like just a massive scale that comes from something like that, just in your mind's eye. So yeah, I can kind of see where the disconnect came from.
Yeah, and that's not worth covering now, but it's something I learned moving forward.
For sure.
So,
now, did you end up losing here?
No, I won.
Oh, you won. I'm sorry.
Air won that challenge. However, JDM decided to split up the team and dissolve the Air team instead of anybody else. And
was this because you guys had less people?
Yeah, that and the schedules of the other people involved. I mean, the previous two challenges, the other people in the team were kind of involved. That last challenge with Lord of the Rings, it was mostly me. I mean, I think there were like 2 or 3 posts from anybody else.
Okay, yeah, me and Jokers, we definitely went through something similar to this in season 12 of So We Want to Be an Imagineer, where we were literally like for the first 3 or 4 projects, the only people doing anything on our teams. Oh my god. Like, you see, something like that is kind of one of the big reasons I'm so glad to now have a community as active as WDWMagic to host So You Want to Be an Imagineer on, because now I know stuff like that's really not going to happen. But, yeah.
It'll still happen. I mean, CTX, for example, he was on my team in Season 1 of Sorcerer's Apprentice, and he did great. But this year, just schedule was just not on his side, and he apologized for it a couple times. He just couldn't get in. So that happens. Schedules come up. People get busy. They're busier than they thought they were going to be, and that's kind of how I look at it. And so it made sense for JDM, kind of seeing as the fact that Air at this point was kind of just me anymore, to split things up, and that's what he did. So I believe M.A. Screamin' went over to land, and I went to sea.
Right.
I know I went to sea.
Yeah, you went to sea, yeah. Okay, so you went to sea, and there, correct me if I'm wrong, you were reunited with both Voxel and Monorail Red. What was it like there? Because, Monorail Red, obviously you'd worked very closely with in the past, but had some issues with, of course not personally, but just strategically, in some of the things she's done. And then Voxel, did you guys instantly, I assume you instantly got back on the same page, but how was it like kind of like forming that bond up again?
Actually, it happened fine, but there were other members on that team as well, and I felt a little awkward coming into their dynamic.
Sure, definitely.
And, Red and Vox clicked really well. And as well, Vox clicks with just about anybody, and I've never met anybody who doesn't like Red either. So it's one of those, you'd expect it to happen. And I kind of came in a little full bore. I remember I was stressed about that previous week, trying to do so much. Even though I won, I was still stressed. And I remember coming into the challenge basically going like, "Okay, guys, da 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 da," and I just was full bore like, we're going to do all this stuff, and and I was still thinking like I was the one who had to do all the work.
Gotcha.
In reality, I wasn't. So it really took me through this challenge to get back in the mindset where, hey, I've got teammates. Let's talk. Let's chat. Let's have fun with this. Which kind of ties to what happened in that boardroom. So, but we can get to that too.
Right. Okay, so let's see. You guys did the whole new world campaign. And this is kind of funny now in retrospect because you are working on projects that you originally didn't have a hand in, correct?
Actually, yes, that is correct.
Yeah.
And we didn't do Whole New World. We did Discover Disney.
Oh, God, I'm sorry. My mistake.
Yeah, you don't like Whole New World. You liked ours. So, but we did discover Disney, and the by the end of that challenge, I'd really felt like I'd fit in well with Team C. The beginning was a little rough. I did the video. Red, as usual, did the art, which was awesome. Joker and I
talk about
posters.
You want to talk about the process kind of behind blending Red's art into the video, which was kind of one of the big highlights of this project?
Yeah, we were trying to pull something out that would, again, take it to the next level, something that they hadn't seen from the team before, especially because if you look back, we're on Challenge 5 now. Challenge 1 through 4, even if Team Land didn't win, they were always consistent. I mean, one thing that Team Land, like Team C and Team Air, they were kind of all over the place. It would either be really good or not so good at all.
Gotcha.
But Land was just, I mean, you had 10-10 week 1, which was just awesome. IP argument aside, that was an awesome presentation. That's part of why I had the argument, because I didn't want them to use it.
So was that really literally like strategically like, oh man, this is too good, I have to stop this?
I guess I can admit it now. Yes, it was.
Oh wow. Okay.
You don't own the IP, and I grew up with it. I have the comic books.
Oh god.
So when I saw it, I was like, oh, I would love to see this. Oh my god, it's so well done. It's well written. It's well presented. The art looks good. That's scary. I want to win this week, so you know what?
Okay. As someone who is like way into Survivor strategy and stuff like that, I very much approve of moves like that. So well done, sir. Well done.
Yeah, and it's. I mean, it was a valid argument. All I really looked for, and this is kind of how we made peace on it. If they had taken a sentence or two or a small paragraph and said, "Here's how Disney's going to obtain the IP," that
exactly. Right.
I couldn't have argued anything, and I wouldn't have. The theme park rights are actually owned by a company, or were owned by a company, I think in Belgium.
Oh, okay.
There is a 1010 theme park there, or at least it was. I think it may have closed down a year ago or so, but anyway, it was a strategic move. It was an attempt to kind of throw them off their game, and it didn't work. Challenge 2 was strong. Challenge 3 was strong, and just Land every single. There's a reason why they won best team, I think.
Definitely, yeah.
They were just, even if they didn't win the challenge, they were always solid every single time. So uber props over to you guys. You just did a great job.
Okay, well, let's move on to Project 6. This was another one of my personal favorites that you guys did. Buccaneer Bay. You guys used something that, personally, you know, of course, I'm in, I think, quite a lot of people's camp. I'm thinking that there's too much pirate stuff in the parks. Having said that, I think you guys created just about the most cool and original thing you could have created with it. So, so once again, you had website duties this time around, and everyone loves that little pirate that pops up in the corner and goes "Arr!"
Yeah,
so delightful.
So in between 5 and 6, I went into the boardroom, and
oh yeah, let's talk about that. I'm sorry, yeah.
What had happened was after Challenge 5, I don't remember the details of it, but I had gotten into it in the discussion thread with a bunch of people. I know that Zviland was one of them. A bunch of people over on Team Land. It got nasty. I mean, not
really.
This wasn't just like where we were debating about 10-10 and we were throwing. I mean, it got nasty. And I had to sit back. I felt guilty about it, actually, and I had to sit back and think, is this really what I want to do? I'm taking it so seriously. I'm taking it too seriously. And I thought the right thing to do would be able to go into the boardroom and just kind of force myself, not only to explain to myself why I'm doing this, but explain to everybody else why I'm doing it. And,
sure.
If I got eliminated, you know, it's a risk that I thought needed to be taken. So that's why I did it. So this challenge, I was trying to do something kind of more laid back, and so I really did. You said I had website duty. That's about all I did. I had website duty. I had, you know, I helped with the brainstorming, but the writing was all T-Cool and Vox, I believe. The art, obviously, you can tell Red's art wherever it is.
Of course.
But I did not do much content-wise on this. I give my input, of course, and I think I did a couple of the restaurants. In fact, I know I did the restaurants. I did the menus, but they basically sat back after I told them that. And I'm like, look, I just need to relax. And they're like, take a week and relax, dude. Just have fun with it. So the little intro where he's doing this thing, you know, I was like, I'm going to put that in because I think it's funny.
Oh,
yeah. Loading. Finding the rum. That's what it was. Finding the rum. And then the little pirate guy, I found him somewhere, and I thought that would be fun.
Everyone that I've talked to just specifically points that out.
What, which one? The pirate guy?
No, the little pirate guy, yeah.
So I was just trying to have fun with it, and I think overall our project turned out well. I liked the concept of having the ride without having the ride.
Oh, yeah, I totally agree. I totally agree, for sure, for sure. Okay, so did you guys, what was the standings to this project? Did you guys win or lose?
I believe Challenge 6 we won.
You won. Okay.
Yeah, we won that one.
Okay, cool. So let's move on. The second 24-hour project, you guys were tasked with doing a hotel resort for Shanghai Disneyland. What was your thought process going into this?
This one I was a project manager for again, and we lost this one.
Okay.
We did the Embassy Hotel, and again, this would go back to ambition. I think it was probably a bit more than could be done in 24 hours, though we all did a good job turning out what we said we would. I think I can't say much on this. The concept was okay. I thought we did okay with it. The other team just did better than us. I mean, without a doubt.
It's dinosaurs. You can't argue with dinosaurs. You just can't. It's impossible. You will lose.
And we did. We lost.
Yeah.
Hard.
So who ended up going home in this spot?
As I recall, the 24 was not
elimination. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, it was for extra vacation days.
Gotcha. Okay. You want to talk a little bit about the concept of vacation days and how they might have helped you along during the game at any points? Because I feel like that's something that I'm kind of skimming over when I'm talking about SA in general.
There's certainly a strategic use for it, and I think it was IDI when you asked him. He said that you try to wait until the very last minute to see if the other team is going to use theirs, and that's absolutely the case.
Right.
I get why they're there. In fact, I remember when we didn't have them and people were missing their deadlines left and right. You know, and it kind of makes sense to have a vacation day when, like, okay, I can't make 5 o'clock on Sunday, but we can have it by Tuesday at 5. Okay, that makes sense. Where it kind of gets a little crazy, and this season was much better than last year, is when you've got literally pushing by weeks and weeks, and 5 days here, 7 days there, 5 days there, and before you know it, the challenges run on 3 or 4 weeks. There is a part of the strategic element to that, but I think what happens is towards the end of the competition, everybody is set on their vacation days, and so they use them just to use them.
Exactly, right.
And it made it really hard because that last challenge that we did, both teams used a lot of vacation days. The one that was the ships. Zwei and I did the Discovery and the Celebration.
Okay.
And that, I think that was a 3-week, or when everything was said and done, we'd had like 3 or 4 weeks to do it. Then to immediately turn around and now you can't use vacation days and you have to get everything done within 2 weeks was a little hard for me to get back into that mindset, and I think it hurt me in the finals a lot. So I popped right into it. Me, not so much. So
okay. Oh God. All right, so let's see. Let's talk about the Haunted Tower. Ooh.
I liked this one a lot.
No, I really do too. Yeah.
And I don't know where the idea originated from. It was just a blend. By now, Team C was really starting to gel, in my opinion. We kind of knew what we were good at, what we weren't good at. I was having fun with it again. I wasn't like overriding people and basically being boorish. And we really had a good time with this, and everybody. Red mentioned it. We all did our own research. Tiki was really good about doing a lot of research on different types of ghosts that we could throw into the scenes, etc. There was a poem in that one. I don't know if I wrote that one or if Tiki wrote that one or we wrote that together. I really don't remember.
Do you want me to read it in my many different celebrity impressions?
That was hilarious.
Thank you. I try.
Not this time, but I'm going to go back and watch it after this video is over because that was awesome. But Tiki may have written that. He wrote a poem earlier in the competition as well, so I don't know if that one was his and the other one was mine or what. I don't remember. But overall, it was certainly the best representation of what Team C could turn out of all the
I hear you. Okay. So it was like the piece de resistance. It was like everything that you guys have been working towards in terms of style, in terms of your own personal strength, really came together right there.
Yeah, that's it exactly. And I mean, I would love to have seen what we would have done for the next challenge, but I got taken over to Team Land.
Oh no! How'd this happen?
Actually, I don't. I think JDM just did it. In fact, I know he did because I had to review it last night when I was putting together our notes.
Okay.
JDM did it out of the blue to even out the teams.
Oh God.
Because I mean, here was the record. I was on Team C on Challenge 5. We won. Challenge 6. We won. Challenge 8. We won. So Team Land was losing people left and right. And
so by this point, it's kind of like if someone doesn't switch over, it's basically like 2 or 3 people against like 4 or 5 people, right?
Exactly. So,
okay.
So I got moved over to Land. Why he picked me, I don't know. But he did. So.
Note for future hosts, if you do something random like that, use I like this little site called random.org. Where, it'll just give you like a list of people. So it's like if you want to have like a random tribe swap or something like that, use random.org lists. Just helpful hint in the future. Okay, but anyways, so were you pissed about that? Were you
Not
upset?
At all. I've worked with Zwei before, and I was excited to work with him again. And at this point, I was really emotional about it when they took Vox, and I think that's kind of what triggered it. I was like, oh my God, I got to do all this stuff on my own. I knew going over to Team Land because of everything else they turned in, there was a solid group of people over there that we were really going to have a good time turning out some work, and that's exactly what we did.
Cool. So okay, so I guess you mentioned besides Zwei, who, of course, you guys just sit in our Sorcerer's Apprentice podcast every night and just comment back and forth with each other. So obviously very close, you two. But so besides Zwei, was there anyone in particular from Team Land you haven't mentioned yet that you really gelled with?
I just remember gelling well on that project.
Okay.
I can't remember who was still left. It may have been IDI. I can't remember who was left over there. I'd have to look. So I'm sorry.
No, don't worry about it. It's all good. Okay, so you guys did the northern fjords. Is that correct?
That's correct.
All right, cool. I got it right. Yeah. So what can you tell us about what went into this?
Well, we were tasked to do a challenge that added a land to Disney Sea. Turns out both teams picked the same area because there's this nice, fat, unused plot in the back. So what are you going to do? And we bounced around a bunch of ideas that never made it into this, including like integration with the monorail station and a whole bunch of stuff. And in the end, we just pared that back. Zwei was our team lead on this, and as usual, I mean, he is just so easy to work for because of how he thinks. He's very, let's do this, let's not make it overly complicated, let's keep it nice and simple, and let's turn out a good product.
Cool.
And he did that again this time. I did the video for it. It was just merely a pump-up video, nothing more. A lot of the art and layout kind of was the two of us, or the three of us at the time, just, jamming out ideas. The art was actually Zweiland, but how we broke up the land, we were trying to go for a way that we could include Frozen. Again, it's hard not to include Frozen at this point. But how can we do
according
it
to real-life Imagineers, I wish that wasn't the case, but what are you going to do?
Yeah. We are going to do that hint for the current competition. We are going to do that Frozen theme, right? For our ice cream shop.
Oh, by all means, by all means. Just
But
Olaf's Let It Go Frozen Sundays. Yeah.
we were we were trying to find a way that we could culturally fit it in without it overwhelming the entire thing. Kind of unlike what they're doing at Maelstrom.
Yeah,
Um,
unlike what they're doing in general with Disney parks, the world. Okay, have you seen that ridiculous commercial for Disneyland?
no, I don't think so.
Oh my god, oh my god. Like, Monkey from So You Want to Be an Imagineer brought to my attention today. Basically, what it is it's a bunch of famous Disneyland characters. Like, you got the Tiki birds, you got the Haunted Mansion ghost, you got the Yeti from the Matterhorn. Let's see, who else? You got the pirates, of course. And guess what they're doing?
Singing "Let It Go."
Close. They're singing For the First Time in Forever.
That's almost as bad.
Yeah. It's ridiculous. It's just Disney just being openly just like, hey, you know all this other stuff at Disneyland? Well, screw that, because it's all being taken over by Frozen.
Yeah, I hope they get over it soon. But
that's a whole other conversation. Yeah.
Yeah, but we were trying to find a way that we could fit it in. I mean, it's hard to ignore that IP. It is popular, #1 IP in Japan, I think.
It is the biggest moneymaker Disney's ever had. So yeah.
I mean, yeah. So it was just we were trying to find a way to fit it in without it being just overwhelmingly bad. So, and I think we met a good medium on that. I think we did okay.
Sure.
I really enjoyed the where we went with it, and that was another one of my favorite projects. And we ended up winning that challenge. So.
All right, cool. So, all right, let's move on to Project 10. This is one of those projects. I'll definitely give my feedback about it when me and Joker's Updates do our final Sorcerer's Apprentice podcast. By the way, I'm sorry that's been delayed, you guys. It's just I've been doing all these Elite 8 retrospectives, and tonight we're doing the cast assessment. I've got a couple TV show recaps to do this weekend. It should hopefully be Monday that we'll be doing the last Elite 8 career retrospect, or Elite 8, you know what I mean. Me and Joker Update doing the 4-part thing. But we'll definitely talk over it then, but let's talk, you guys did a Doctor Who project, which is a license that I have next to no knowledge of whatsoever.
Well, unfortunately, everybody else on my team didn't either. So
this was all you?
Well, no, not at all. The rest of the team really jumped up and they learned about it and they watched a couple episodes.
Oh, cool! Props to them for that. Nice.
Yeah, but it was my idea, and I don't know. I don't know if it's because I was project manager and I was like, we really need to do this, and was just so excited because I've wanted to put Doctor Who into the UK Pavilion at Epcot forever.
It does make a lot of sense. It really does. I'll give you that much.
Yeah, and so I saw this as the opportunity, and we were going to take it, and we did, and we lost.
Oh, bump.
But overall, I mean, I thought our presentation was great. Like I said, the whole team really, stepped up. A lot of the backstory was written by other people, with just me being the fact checker since I'm the Who nerd.
Sure.
It's really not that, it's this, and stuff like that.
Right.
It could have been a little bit tighter, but in all, I'm still, pleased with what we did. You could tell where Zwei did the artwork. He did Big Ben and, all the exterior artwork. The map was me. But I mean, I thought it was a good project. And in fact, as I recall, we actually won. But then JDM changed his mind, so I don't know what's up with that.
Oh dear.
Well, I'm throwing it out there.
Yeah.
Because Zweilin caught it. I don't think I caught it. Zweilin caught it, and he had gone in and changed. If I'm remembering the right project, he'd gone in and changed the who won in order, but he'd left the original 2 people from Team C, Vox and Monorail Red, as the people who had to go in the boardroom. That's the tell.
Gotcha.
And Zweilin got that in as a comment before he went back and fixed it, which he went back and edited it. And I don't know if he did it as a mistake or if he just said, "Wait a minute, no, Team Land doesn't need to win this one." I don't know.
I would hope not. I would hope.
I
would hope that's not the case.
I don't know, but with the nature of that competition, and it has to do with the fact that it's based on that Apprentice TV show.
Sure.
He is, in fact, we call him Mr. Yezded, just like Mr. Trump. He's Mr. Yezded, and he can do these things. If he wants to pick me up and throw me on another team, he can do that. If he wants to say, I really like this one better without justification, he can do that. And that is a nature of the game. If we were playing a different type of game, you couldn't get away with that.
Yeah, I mean, I guess with all these kind of competitions, there's different sort of things to take into equation. Like for me with Survivor, the one big thing you have to take into equation with Survivor is Probst is going to prod and pick your brain until you give him something to work with, and he will not let up about it. So, it's almost like when you play Survivor, you kind of have to deal with Probst himself as like a 19th player. But,
see, and I've never seen more than 10 minutes of the show, of Survivor. But I watched a lot of Apprentice. So again,
okay.
Could it have been a mistake? Could JDM have changed his mind? I don't know. I don't care. He's an awesome host, and in the end, we lost. I still like that project, though. I mean, but we lost.
So who ended up going here?
Whoever was the third person on our team, which I think was IDI at that point.
IDI? I think you're right. It was IDI. Yeah, okay, gotcha. Okay, so next, Project 11, which was... you guys did two different cruise ships, the Disney Celebration and the Discover. So what was it like working on this?
This was a blast. It was a lot of work, like recording all those Disney radio spots. That was all me.
Oh, cool.
And that took a long time. That was something that Zweilin didn't even think we were going to do it. I just literally added it because I thought it brought something to the site. I thought it was cute and unique, etc.
Yeah.
But I loved it. And again, it's one of those. It's kind of like the Marvel project. I can't tell you where the line between Zweilin's ideas and my ideas really lay. There were some things that are certainly me. I did the itineraries. I did a lot of the restaurant work, obviously. I did the website, obviously. The Magic Band integration, I think, was my idea. But other than that, I can't tell you where that line is. We just gelled so perfectly on the project. And if I had to pick a strongest project of the year for myself personally, that would be it. I think it was the most complete thing that I did all year. Even though I was working with Zwei, it was the most complete. So.
All right. And then what was the status there? Did you guys end up winning or losing?
Oh yeah, we won.
We won. Okay.
We beat them pretty bad. Sorry guys.
You beat them pretty bad, Jerry.
Oh yeah, no, they were hurt. They were hurt with a bloody nose and a black eye. Sorry.
Whoa. Okay, so moving forward, what was kind of the layout for the final project? Like, how did it work? Did you kind of like, can you kind of explain it to me a little bit? Yeah,
the challenge was to create a major edition. We decided to go with Disneyland Brazil. We did shop some other markets. By that I mean like other areas around the world. Right. But in the end, just decided Brazil was the right fit, especially when we found a nice location for it on Google Maps, which Voxel found that, and it's beautiful. It offers expansion and a port. That was the other thing, is we were going to tie it in with Disney Cruise Line, where a port would drop off. Everybody on my team did great. Where I messed up, and this goes back to me being overly ambitious, was I was like, okay, I just came off this fantastic website project with Zwei. We're going to do another one, and this time we're going to go a step further. And whenever you click on them, everything's going to be in a video. Well, the problem with that is I was also the video guy. God. And the only video that ever got made was Red's, which was for Frontierland. And
sure.
The original plan was to do all of them. And I remember sitting there Thursday night, I think it was due on Sunday, and it takes some of these renders in After Effects, can take 4 to 6 hours. to do.
Right. Yeah. So you're just kind of calculating it in your head, like,
I'm like,
oh God.
yeah, this isn't going to happen. And
Right.
in the end, I ended up tossing together everything that we had as best I could. And there was one of the criticisms we got was that we focused too much outside of the park. And I'll defend T Cool on that. He really went above and beyond to design the downtown Disney area. And I couldn't, I knew it was too much because he went into so much detail and the rest of the park didn't have it. But I couldn't leave it out. It was just too good. So, well, if it cost me the competition, I don't think it did. I think Zwei beat the socks off of me. But
Now, kind of explain to me how the winner was actually decided between you two.
it's straight up JDM. This is The Apprentice. So
Apprentice. Okay, so, but I'm just saying, like with The Apprentice, usually it's the two winners. Like, did Zwei and you work on different projects, or were you on the same project?
No. Well, the same challenge, different projects. So he was
okay.
just like the show, he was able to bring back some people, and I was able to bring back some people. And in this case, I ended up bringing back mostly Team C, so we became Team Air in name, but it was T Cool, Red, and Vox. And then on Team Land, he brought back, I believe, RM and IDI. So that was basically Team Land again. And like I said, they just, again, Land gelled. They did a great project, and Zwei ended up winning the season. And I think he deserved it, 100%. So next year I'm coming.
All right, so with that in mind, when you were playing through the Sorcerer's Apprentice, how much knowledge do you have, or how much was it in your head that you were gonna do the Elite Eight and that you wanted to get into the Elite Eight?
I didn't know if I would make it or not. I only did the one competition, well, outside of spring training, which doesn't even really count because I only did one challenge. So it was only that I went so far in Sorcerer's Apprentice, I think, that got me the number of points. But I really don't know how all the points added up, and I'm glad I was in there. I didn't think I would. I think I was ranked fourth or fifth. I would have put that a little high for me. I was surprised I wasn't like 6 or 7.
Right.
But once I found out about it and I knew the competition was coming, I was like, this is a fun end of the year sort of thing to do. So yeah, that's how I got into that.
Okay, so let me see. You ended up. I'm sorry. Who were you paired with this first round?
The pairing.
You were paired with ID Institute.
Correct.
All right. Gotcha. Sorry about that. Okay, so let's see. What was your project? Your project was it was to do the Ticket and Transportation Center, much like everyone else's was, but you did the Rural Gateway. Now, so what was kind of your approach doing this project? Because it's kind of a tricky thing to do. I think the big challenge of this project is to come up with something that's practical, but also kind of entertaining at the same time.
Yeah, and you would think that that's the angle that I came from, that I sat down and I said, okay, what can I do that's practical?
Sure.
That's not how it worked at all. I was sitting there thinking, what the heck can I do? I have no idea what to do here. What would be kind of cool is if I redid the building and I redid it in the shape of Mickey Mouse. And that's where it all started, was the Mickey head. I swear to you, that is where it started. And then I started breaking it down and really refining it and trying to, fitting it on the map. And once I got it on the map, not in the final draft you see, but something very similar, things started to click. And I'm like, I don't have to move the monorail stations. I can retheme them. I don't have to, one of the ears happens to cover where the other, where the buses, the third-party buses all let off, so I can do something with that. And it all just started to click. I never really wanted to go off on an angle that was not TTC, ever. That was never in
Gotcha.
I didn't want to build up. I did briefly consider putting a hotel there, and I'm like, that's just not right. And it was really the last day or two, I think, where the idea of the navigators, which are my favorite part of it, really came in, and that's the touch table.
Yeah, Joker really enjoyed that idea as well. Yeah, very interactive, very cool.
Yeah, I was trying to come up with a way that would be next gen without it being you looking at your iPad or your iPhone or something silly. I thought with the tables it'd be really good because the family could sit around together and they could look at the things together and decide, okay, here's what I want to do. And so that's where that came from. Yeah, that's like I said. I wish I could sit down and had said, I want to make this really practical, tight design. I think it turned out that way, but that's not where I started. That was fun.
Okay. All right. So moving on to the second round, you had to do a nighttime spectacular, and you ended up doing the Lovers, the Dreamers, and you. Now, I've got to say this was one of my very first projects that I reviewed here on WDWMagic as part of the very first review, or the very first video where we went over all the Elite 8 projects, and this is still one of my absolute favorites. I really get into all of this. I gotta say my one criticism is still, it's pretty minor, but it's still just kind of like, you go from Rainbow Connection to Star Wars is if it just slaps you in the face and it's very disconnected. But like I said in the video, man, I absolutely love the idea of using like the hundreds of spotlights. It's so classic Hollywood, and it's also just something that I could just see Disney just playing around with, having a ball trying to come up with, like practical ways to sync up the lights and how far can you push it and everything like that. So I really personally love this project. So what can you tell me about how you put it together?
First off, I will apologize for the final soundtrack. The original soundtrack was about 14 minutes long, and it still had that nasty transition between the two, but because it did, and I debated taking it out. I remember showing it to my sister, actually, and being like, should I leave that in there? I mean, I want them to jump in their seat. I want them to go, oh, look at this. But it is a little rough. But with having, Lovers, with having Rainbow Connection go on a little longer, it doesn't quite, the shorter version, the 5-minute version that I have on the actual video you watched, it's like you're literally just getting into the song, and then bam. And I think it makes it even worse. It's not that it's any better on the longer soundtrack. It's that it's even worse on the shorter one.
Oh, God. Oh, God.
So, apologies to everybody who I freaked out with that transition. That was bad.
Yeah.
I graphically with this, I knew that Red was going to do something similar to what she did.
Of course.
And so I was trying to take that to the next level. And what ended up happening towards the end was I was sitting there on Saturday night, and I'm going through. I have this. The way I did the animation was in Paint.net. If you're familiar with that program. Cool. And so I just created a bunch of layers, and the bottom layer is the actual Chinese theater, and the lights and stuff are drawn on top, so I was able to toggle the different layers on and off to get the lights to do what they did. Now they shut off, and the glow with the show ears, for example, the same thing. That's how I toggled them. I toggled the white layer on, white layer off, white layer on, white layer off. Before I knew it, I had like hundreds of pictures that I'm trying to get into this video, and I'm trying to make it 14 minutes long, and it just wasn't going to happen. So I went in. I took a hacksaw to the. Worse than a hacksaw. I took a machete to my soundtrack. I cut out whole sections. And just tried to get it something reasonable that I could have something to turn in. I'm so pleased with what happened, what ended up, but that's why you'll see a lot of fireworks repeat and things like that. Is I just
definitely sure.
I would love to sit down and have like 2 weeks uninterrupted to do that. To do a show like that with the different layer animations. It was something Red and I played with earlier in the season with the commercial. And I really wanted to take that. Yeah. I wanted to take that to the next level, and I kind of got there. People seem to like it. I look at it and I'm like, it's okay.
Can you talk just kind of really briefly about what got you to do the idea of like all the spotlights?
Yeah, I was looking for something besides lasers.
Okay.
And it started with, I'm just going to have a spotlight introduction sort of thing, and then it was going to be lasers and fireworks, etc. And the more I played with it, I'm like, these spotlights look really good, and could continue to look really good. So I ended up including them in more and more scenes. The only time I included lasers actually was during Tron, which I think it fits. I think it makes sense there. So
yeah, of course, yeah, lasers and Tron, yeah, that fits like a glove for sure. But no, you guys really, it was really kind of like, I really feel like with the spotlights, you did for spotlights what World of Color did for, for water jets. Like, I really thought you went above and beyond with what you could do with something like that, and I really loved it for it. So yeah, props there. You ended up winning your second round, and then unfortunately for the last round, life got in the way, and you had nothing to turn in. So yeah,
pretty much. And so I'm not going to bother talking about it outside of say that's exactly what happened. Life got in the way. I went home for Christmas, and I didn't expect it to be as busy as it was, and it just was. I will in the next couple weeks post what I had. I'll put together something. It'll be better than Red's because I'm better than Red.
Whoa, them fighting words, sir.
In all seriousness, Red totally deserved the win. I don't even think we had a lot of similar concepts that in the countries that we would have chosen. I was going to include Greece.
Sure.
I was going to include India.
Okay.
I think her ride concepts were better than anything I was brainstorming at the time. The only thing I can say that I think would have been a good addition that it was on mine, I had to get approval from Zoiland for this, was I wanted to do a train that ran all the way around the outside of World Showcase.
Oh, that's neat.
But it was totally enclosed, just like what they're doing over at Universal Studios.
Gotcha. Yeah,
so
yeah.
As you rode by the different pavilions, you would look out your virtual train window, and the announcer or whatever would start talking about "Welcome to Germany," blah 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 blah, and you'd be going through the German landscape, etc. And then it would give them the ability to really control that backstage area and make some use of it. And he approved it, but that was the most developed idea I had, so that's why we brought it in the post.
No, but I really do think throughout me just kind of observing it, you were a big power player throughout the year. So props to that, and I think you continue to be like a very awesome presence here on the board. Like I said, super helpful with all the new people. So I continue to look forward to working with you and developing concepts and all that good stuff. So before you sign off, do you want to give the good people any sort of a prediction or hope for what you hope that this community accomplishes here in 2015?
Yeah, I do. I really want to see the kind of the merge that started finish up. And what I'd really like to see is I created a thread called the Imagineer Workshop that's in the Imagineering section. And I really want to see people grow artistically. I know I have grown. I've learned Creative Suite, for example. And if you'd asked me 7 or 8 months ago to do anything with After Effects, I could have done it. And I went and I watched some YouTube tutorials and stuff like that, and got pretty good at it. I'm not awesome, but for somebody who's not a pro,
sure, absolutely.
I do okay. And that's what it's all about. Is about the fun, learning new tools and new techniques and new ways to present the concept besides the classic, here's your title, here's your intro, here's your da-da-da, here's your da-da-da.
Sure.
A lot of them have to be that way, don't get me wrong.
Slap a couple Google Doc or Google Images on there, call it a day.
Yeah, but a lot of them, that's just the nature of the limitation of the forum, not the forum, but the forum, meaning the media that we have to
for sure.
But I like seeing people do videos, and I like seeing people play around with websites, and certainly play around with the art and new ways to use the art and ways to make our. It's not so much like I can read through one of our text presentations, and I'm a nerd about this, so I'm going to read through it and be like, oh, this is great, I love it. But how can we draw in others, from outside of our little niche community? To be also interested in what we do, and I think some of that is about presentation, and I think presentation is something I'm pretty good at it. The other stuff not so much, but presentation I do all right. So when I
Okay.
post.
Okay. Well, well, I think it's definitely all about, like, from what I've been seeing here, it's all about, like, you guys all have awesome talents of your own. You guys have all cool, unique skills. We just need to kind of, like, blend them together, really start working on some awesome stuff. But, yeah, so, I would like to personally thank you, England. I know you have a busy schedule, so thank you very much for taking a couple hours out of it to talk to me. Very much appreciated.
My pleasure.
And all right, so yeah, we've got a lot of stuff going on still. My interview with Voxel will be tomorrow, so look forward to that. Me and Joker Wild will be doing the cast assessment for Soul Imagineer tonight in a couple hours, so lots of cool stuff on the horizon. So thanks once again, England, for coming on, and you all watching, have a good night, and keep on Imagineering. Yeah!